Good evening or good day as it may be, everyone. Thanks for watching Talk About on Shaw TV Campbell River. My name is John Twigg, and today we have an interesting show for you featuring the Campbell River Chamber of Commerce. We have President and CEO Colleen Evans with us and Chairman Mike Boule. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you for inviting us.
Now, the Chamber's been in Campbell River a long time, I think, eh?
1931.
Wow.
Yeah. Long time.
And Colleen, you've been here for about 5 years?
About 5 years. 5 years in April.
Wow. And Mike, you're just halfway through your first term as president, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Chairman.
As chair, that's okay. You know what? Under the last person to occupy the position I'm in now, Gary Toulin, his position was still president, and that change has just recently happened. So.
Yeah, actually, that's probably a good way, because in my brain I've got you as president, but you know, now you're our president now. But what was the genesis of the change or the reasoning?
Well, it's really based on governance, because governance typically is a board chair when we're looking at a model like what the chamber has. So it really was more just title change to fit the model that we have.
Yeah.
And so I became the president, which is typically what the senior staff person in an organization would be.
Yeah.
And we changed it to board chair for the senior volunteer leadership.
I think the Vancouver Board of Trade has a similar model.
Similar model. Many organizations, most of the chambers now, that's pretty much the model that they use in terms of titles, and because it is really confusing.
Yes, my apologies. I'll get their names right. Well, whatever it is, it must be working, because the chamber is growing. And you know, there's a lot of vibrancy. You had some good events this summer. What is the status now of the chamber? How many members, and is there a growth pattern? Sure.
Maybe I'll start, and then Mike, you can talk about the board leadership, which is, you know, really it's a partnership. You have to have that component, and fortunately our chamber really does. It's a real leadership partnership between the board and myself, and I think that's number one, is that we've really got a strong board and strong leadership in the staff component as well, a good partnership there. But membership is growing substantially. We've, since the beginning of the year, we're here in November, and we've added over 60 new members just this year alone. To a base of about 425 to 450. Wow. And what happened, John, is with all the businesses that have closed since 2008, we really were maintaining still our own. In some years it was more or less every new member we would bring in, there was a business that had closed or a merger happening in the community. So to be able to be in that trajectory where we really see a lot of new memberships coming on board is a really positive, one key indicator of the chamber.
How does it break down in terms of like small individual members or major mining companies and you know, big employers?
Sure. Well, there's breadth across all industry sectors. We represent every industry sector that is in Campbell River, so that's really important to know. But primarily it is small, medium businesses of less than 100 employees, but we certainly have all of the major employers represented as well in the chamber membership. And I think that just reflects the diversity of our community and the fact that we are providing value across sectors and across size of business. Yeah.
Mike, why did you come on as chair? I mean, that's, you know, in case anybody doesn't know, he's a prominent lawyer in town. But, you know, why do you, it's a time demanding thing. Why are you doing it?
It is a very time demanding thing. And I suppose there's a few other factors that go into that too. Although I grew up here, went to school here, I moved away and was away for quite some time. Moved back about 3 years ago and bought into partnership at Shookwick and Bishop Field, where I practice. And so I'm only having been back 3 years, I'm still somewhat in the process of growing my business and growing my practice. So it was a big commitment to take this on, but shortly after I came back, I had the opportunity to join the chamber board and got involved. It really allowed me to get plugged into the business community here very quickly. Coming back to the community, having been away for well over a decade, I felt a bit out of touch when I came back to town at first. So it was a terrific opportunity that way. I got a great opportunity to see the wonderful work that the Chamber has done. I'm a big believer in the work that the Chamber does for its members and for the community at large. Yeah. And so when I was approached by Colleen and by Gary,
that would be Gary Tulin, the previous.
I'm sorry, Gary Tulin, yes, my predecessor as chair, now past chair, about standing for the chair position. It was quite an honor. I was really thrilled to be considered for that. So.
One of the things I wanted to deal with is, why should people join the Chamber? And you've just alluded to one of the best ones. That's the networking.
Mm-hmm. Very much. Mm-hmm.
Any
elaborations? Of course. Well, what we find is really interesting is, just like we said, we represent all sectors and all sizes of business. It really depends on where a business is in their business cycle, what they're looking for in terms of the Chamber and what value the Chamber can bring. So for many businesses, networking, is the reason why they join. Other businesses, it's profile. But an interesting statistic that we share is that 60% of members join just because they believe in the good work that the Chamber is doing. And they may never attend an event. And they're busy and they don't have time to do that kind of participation, but they're engaged in the way that they believe in the work, they believe in the impact we're having in the community, and they continue year after year to renew their membership.
What are some good examples of the work you do in the community? And I know in pre-election times you host a political forum. You guys are political but not partisan. Sure. But what are maybe some of the key things that wouldn't come to mind? Sure.
So I'll share some of those, but from Mike's perspective as well, I'm sure he'll jump in with some as well. When we look at the awards event that we hold annually to celebrate what's happening in the community, I think that not only celebrates the positive entrepreneurship and some of the positive business news that we have and the leadership.
That was only about 6 weeks ago, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was.
And there was in the paper there was a big spread of business after business after business. So
the impact, I think, of reading all those stories and all of that profile at once. We hear back from the community all the time. I didn't realize that business was doing as well as they are. And this year we celebrated Cyril. This was a brand new award, Cyril de Bruin, as leader. The governor, he won the Governor's Award, a new award, Leader of the Year, leader for his leadership. So. I think for the community to see those leaders, hear about what they've done, hear about the impact that winning the awards have on their business, that's really positive. That's probably one of our more public profiles that people would see. The Business Expo, again, another public profile. So ways that are, active profiling for business, those are probably two of the highest profile. But there's other things that we're involved in, a lot of educational and training, mentorship, creating a positive business environment. I think that's something that easily flows off the tongue when you're saying that, but as you say, what does that really mean? And what we've been doing is profiling local good news, positive stories. Again, talking about leadership. And so those are a few of the things that the Chamber members really celebrate as being part of the role the Chamber takes.
Mike, what do you do as chair to sort of advance the Chamber's interests?
Okay, that's a fairly broad question. Actually, if I may, before I go into that, I'd like to go back to just a little bit more, expand a little bit on what Colleen was talking about. She mentioned educational components, and one of the things I'm sure we'll talk about over the course of our time here in the next little bit is the Major Projects Portal. And along with the Major Projects Portal, and the credit for this really goes to Colleen and to our staff, is putting together workshops to assist local businesses. For anybody that doesn't know what Major Projects Portal is, we developed a website specifically to profile local businesses and suppliers for the major projects that are currently underway and future projects that will be coming to Campbell River. So businesses have the opportunity to sign up, profile themselves on this website. It's a one-stop shopping opportunity for the bid proponents that are coming in and bidding on these big projects, and they can look around and say, who's in Campbell River, what are they doing, what's available for me? Now going back to the educational component of that, there are a lot of people out there who are really great at what they do, but may not be terrific at, or may not have a lot of experience at selling themselves. And so the purpose of the educational components that went along with that is there were workshops that we put on that help these people to figure out, how do I market myself? You know, one of the things I think was a bit of a revelation for a lot of people was you're going to have a short time to meet with these prospective bid proponents. You want to get a lot of information to them very quickly. If they walk away with a handful of paper, it's not that compelling. There was, for example, there was an emphasis on, you know, hand them a USB drive with a presentation on it about your business. That was something that a lot of people seem to take away. You know, how to sell themselves in a short time frame, and then that was all in preparation for what Colleen had dubbed speed dating.
With you as chair, are there some things you can do that she shouldn't as president, like perhaps lobbying city council or something?
Sure, yes.
I know this week Colleen was at council last night as we were taking. I haven't heard the story yet, but what can you do that you should do?
Sure. And that really was your question. I'm sorry, I backtracked on you there. Okay, so my role as chair, over the last while, and particularly during Gary Toulin's time as president and chair, and in fact before that, the chamber went through transition from a more of an operations type model to a governance model. And that transition now is complete. And yes, what you've identified is exactly what I'm interested in about moving forward. Is that we now have an opportunity. We've done sort of the internal stuff of defining how our chamber is going to operate in that way going forward. That gives us an opportunity now to focus on what can we do in terms of being the voice of business in Campbell River, lobbying, whether it's City Hall or the provincial government or the federal government for that matter. And I'm really excited about some initiatives that we're taking in that direction as well, working towards developing policy that we hope to be adopted by the BC Chamber to be lobbied at a provincial and federal level.
Right. Well, we've got some streeters that we have people in the street giving us opinions about the business climate and stuff like that. And let's look at those now, and then we'll talk about them.
Sounds good.
What do you think needs to be done to attract business to Campbell River?
I think it's important for people to pay attention to the young people. I think that's the future of our country, and it's important to attract those people to our community.
If there were more larger merchants, such as like Costco and Winners, for instance, that's why we go to Courtney. And then we need gas in our cars, so we end up filling up our gas tank there. We get hungry, so then we're eating at their restaurants. So it's all that other business ends up being in Courtney rather than Campbell River.
What attracted you to come to Campbell River?
I guess we just like the countryside here. It's a beautiful location, and housing is very affordable. It's a real booming sort of community. I've never seen so many sold signs in all my life as we've seen this past year or so.
You know, I think from what I've seen of it, at first glance, I think it's great. It's a nice, friendly place. We've really enjoyed our first week here.
Okay, big boxes, we need winners. My wife, I can hear her say, yes, we need winners. But also Costco. But, they like the place. It's booming. The people are friendly. But is it enough? You know, do we need a bigger city? Do we need a better business climate?
I think that there's always improvement to be made. I mean, you know, the moment you stop striving for improvement, you're kind of done. One of the points, and the one that you haven't mentioned that was raised, focus on young people.
Yeah.
You know, I think that really relates to something that we're seeing from as feedback from our members is a skills shortage.
Yeah.
And you know, so focus on education and training, but education and training toward the skills that the employers out there really need to employ to make our young people competitive for skilled jobs, ones that are going to pay reasonably.
Now, I know that there's some aircraft maintenance courses in town that are quite successful, but you know, I don't know if we have enough logging and trucking type training and all that. So this is Skills Training Week, coincidentally. But is there enough talent to compete for, and then are businesses competing well enough? That's, I know you've been working on that.
That is a really key question, because you know, you hear about skills crisis, but really what it is a skills gap, because it's what the employers are saying their demand is in terms of talent, in terms of skills, and then what the labor force or the labor supply is in terms of what they actually have. And we just have this gap between what is available labor pool and is it meeting the needs of the employers. And so that demand supply gap is really what is becoming, in some cases, a significant crisis in some communities where that gap is very, very large. And I think the training is that we need to invest in the training that's going to close the gap. So we need to make sure that whatever training we're investing in, that it's meeting the needs, the demand of the employers. And I think those are the conversations that are happening in the community right now, whether it's federal, provincial, local or regional. Where are we investing the dollars for the most impact, and where are we investing the dollars in terms of linking people to jobs? Because we heard earlier with streeters that, you know, people like living in this community, they see some opportunity, but people will come to this community and stay in this community if there's job creation. And that's why it's so critical that we support our small businesses and ensure we're investing in their retention, because they're the job creators in our community, and that's where we need to, again, create those linkages between skills, job creation, and supportive, progressive growth with our small business.
So if the Chamber, through its own processes, identifies some specific gaps, let's just say welders for argument, that helps if you guys pass it along to the authorities. Well,
it's actually, even with the Chamber, more strategic than that, because we have very strong partnerships within the community with organizations, for example, NIAFs, that create labor market. They have a specialized labor market individual who produces this labor market information. And so the Major Projects Portal is one place where we share this information out. People can go and see what the job projections are for the John Hart project, for the hospital project. And our hope is that that allows people to see where the job opportunities are, to maybe consider coming back into the community, bringing their skills back into the community. It helps our local workforce look at training opportunities. If in a year they're going to need a welder, maybe there's time for me to take the kind of training that will allow me to apply for that. So where our focus really has been is preparing our businesses to compete for contracts and preparing our businesses to compete for talent. Because I think one of the biggest challenges, and I'm sure Mike will have something to say on this as well, but one of the biggest challenges that we're finding right now is that a lot of businesses are not as prepared as they need to be for what potentially could become a major competition for talent in our own community. We're not just competing with other businesses in Campbell River, we're competing with businesses in the region, in the province, in Alberta, nationally. And so if those skills happen to be in our community and we become complacent just thinking they're always going to be in our community, the reality is people are going to go where the jobs are, and we potentially could lose some of that skill out of our community.
Do we have enough training capacity in town now? And I know we got the college and there's a couple of private sector colleges, but is there a gap that we need to be filling? I
think the gap again comes back to, is it the demand of where the jobs are. That's really the question to be asked.
Yeah.
I think there's certainly training facilities and capacity within the facilities, a lot of online training and other means of training. But if we're not training for a purposeful job and a need that employers have,
Yeah.
I think that's the critical piece.
Yeah.
The other point on that too is that what you're talking about is a moving target. What's needed out there in the job market is always evolving. You know, there's a need in a particular area. People recognize that. It takes some time. The uptake takes some time, but they recognize that and move in to fill that. And now there's a need someplace else. So it is a moving target. So you know, there's always going to be the ability to absorb more students effectively to be trained in particular areas.
Just a quick thing, your website, and you mentioned the major products portal. Where do people find it?
Off the Chamber website, so www.campbellriverchamber.ca, and you can just link right into the major projects portal right off of that.
Great.
But if we can come back and talk about skills just a little bit more, one of the challenges I think that we as a chamber are trying to address as well is just helping to educate and inform businesses about some of the challenges beyond just this skills gap. And that's that we still, from the research that we've been doing, recognize that a lot of businesses have an aged workforce, close to retirement workforce.
I wouldn't know anybody like that.
You know, we heard, I was just at the Economic Summit in Nanaimo last week, you know, we heard about, you know, BC has the lowest birth rate of any province in Canada. We have a retiring workforce that in the next 20 years is going to make a significant impact on the ability to recruit, retain qualified employees. Yeah. We have an industry sector, particularly the resource sectors. I heard about a 71-year-old feller in the forestry sector. Yeah. I mean, these are challenges that are also critical to businesses, and so it's sharing that information. It's not just labor market information, but it's, you know, what are the challenges? What is the environment that businesses are having to create jobs in? And again, connecting the demand with labor supply within that challenging environment right now.
Okay, let's jump to the intermunicipal business license.
Yes,
There's another jargon for that. What is
Mobile
it?
business license.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
You were at the council recently,
I
say
was.
because of when it runs.
Yes, I was.
What happened?
Well, maybe back up a bit and say that advocacy is a key role that the Chamber plays, and Mike's mentioned certainly that we've had some success and locally with Chamber policy development that has made its way through to provincial recommendations and policy change. But the most recent one that we've been involved in is the mobile business license. And we met with the city probably about 9 months ago. I think it's been been quite a while that we met with them and suggested that a mobile business license was a program that they would want to consider. And the reason for that is just that you know, the role of the Chamber is listening to our members in business and finding solutions to address what concerns and needs they have. And one of the needs they had was there's a lot of mobile businesses, you know, landscapers, photographers, people that basically can move from community to community. They don't need to have a shop or a storefront in order to, you know, facilitate a
realtor
client.
in two communities.
Exactly, exactly. A lot of the professional services.
Yeah.
And so to expand their client base, to look at business growth, they wanted to be able to easily move from community to community, municipality to municipality. And what the situation was before the mobile business license happened was in every municipality they would have had to have taken out a business license.
Yes.
And so in addition to having their resident business license in Campbell River, if they wanted to be in 5 other jurisdictions, they'd need to go through, in some cases, a lot of red tape, a lot of process to get that license. And the mobile business license allows them to have one mobile license and they can operate.
Which communities?
From Duncan Ladysmith North, so there's 8 communities. We're hoping it's going to become Vancouver Island wide. That's the Chamber's role.
Is Gold River involved?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we're slowly moving up the island, and it's going to make a real difference for those businesses.
Yeah. Now, cities might not like the idea because they lose a bit of revenue. Well, but what do they gain?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. They do and they don't, because one of the great advantages of this is compliance.
Yeah.
You know, prior to this, I think you would find that a lot of businesses, that operate like that, either haven't taken a business license at all, or they've taken it in the municipality in which they think of themselves as immediately resident, and operate out of there as they please. So what happens is that effectively there's compliance on a much broader scale, and so they're sharing in.
So they make money by saving money. Okay. Now I gotta get this in for Colleen because she wants to talk about Discover China. Well, the Campbell River Chamber has a promotion on, and I think it's almost sold out. I saw.
It is. It's getting pretty close.
Yeah. So you got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
Maybe less.
Discover China, that's what it's called. It's a 10-day trip, all-inclusive, all taxes, everything in at $24.99 if you're a chamber member, and $150 more if you're not a chamber member. It's totally open to the public. I went on this trip in March just to make sure that it was a standard and quality that the chamber would want to promote. It's an incredible opportunity. The response by the community has been unbelievable, and we're close to being sold out.
So
all the information's on our website.
How many is close? What's roughly?
We're at 47 right now. We had said 50, but we've been told that they will give us another 20 seats. So we have until December 15th, anybody that's interested. So my sense is it's close to being sold out, and we'll probably be there shortly.
So we could spend 10 minutes talking about where you're going in China, but we're not going to.
Okay.
I guess, well, I want to get this in for selfish reasons. The Campbellton renewal, is that on the Chamber's agenda at all?
Sure. Do you want to talk about that, Mike? Yeah.
Sure. Now, the Campbellton renewal obviously is really a municipal issue. But as you know, Colleen and I were talking about this earlier, and really with the inland highway now, and Campbellton being sort of a major entry into our city from the highway, it's the first thing that people see. It's the initial impression of Campbell River. So you know, certainly there's a lot of reason there to support the idea of the Campbellton renewal from that perspective.
Okay, I think we're running tight on time. It flies, you know. I know.
Yeah.
Is there one thing, Colleen, that you want to say before we go?
Well, I would just really invite people to become chamber members if you're not yet a chamber member. The stronger our chamber is, the more we can represent the voice of business. We already have a strong chamber, but we really need businesses to invest in what we're already creating, and that's a positive business climate, and that would be my message. There's always opportunity, and we welcome new chamber members, and I know we're welcoming you as a new chamber member as well, John. So
actually, I'm a renewing because I was, and then I went away and I came back. But yeah, no, the networking alone is worth it. But you know, there's information and all sorts of helps to the business. So.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Our guests have been Colleen Evans and Mike Boule of the Campbell River Chamber. My name is John Twigg. Thank you for watching. Thank you, volunteers. And thank you, viewers. Thank you, Shaw, for doing this.
Thank you, John.
Thanks very much.